Good morning, no, good afternoon, members, and welcome to this meeting of the Licensing Board for Wigtown Shop. This meeting will be recorded and will be made available for viewing through the Licensing Board's webpage. Please follow good practice guidance, which includes muting microphones and switching off your video when you're not addressing the meeting. Write and speak in the team chat function when you want to contribute. Please don't repeat contributions already made by another member. No material should be posted in the chat function if it is intended for a part of the discussion. The usual standing orders apply, including that any votes will be made by roll call. All members should speak clearly and directly into the microphone when making contributions and when referring to reports. Please provide reference to the relative page or paragraph to allow everyone to follow. Please focus contributions on the area where clarification is required or to propose an alternative to a recommendation. Members may notice that when calling members to speak, I will refer to them formally using their title. For example, it's clear who election councillors are and who's talking about time. Members, with the agreement of members, I intend to deal with item 10 on the agenda after item 6. Also, members should note in relation to agenda item 9 that the LSO has withdrawn the request for a premises licence review. This item does not require to be considered. And can we move on to item 1, please, which is the Secretary and Apologies and Convener's approval of members' remote participation, which I approve of. Claire, can you provide the apologies, please?
Thank you, Convener, and good afternoon, everyone. We have apologies from Councillors Hagman and Councillor McCammon. And if I may, I'll just go through the roll call to ascertain who's here, Convener. So can you hear me loudly and clearly, Convener?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Dashver?
Hello there, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Councillor Hill?
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Councillor Hill. Councillor Ingalls?
Yeah, good afternoon, Caroline.
So good afternoon, Councillor Ingalls. So we're now quorate, Convener, with 4 members. Thank you.
And can I move this on to item number 2, declaration of interest? Do any members have a declaration of interest they wish to make? I'm seeing no hands being raised, so I assume that we have no declarations. Moving on to item number 3, minutes of the meeting, 13th of March 2024. Can we approve the minutes of the meeting held on 13th of March 2024? I'm seeing a thumbs up from Councillor Dashper. I'm happy to go with that. Thank you. Members, moving on to item number 4, Licensing Scotland Act 2005. Applications for occasional licences of extended hours granted under delegated authority. Report by the clerk to the board. This item is for noting and gives details of the number of occasional licences and extended hours granted under delegated authority for the period of 5th of March 2024 to the 3rd of June 2024. Are members happy to note this?
Noted.
A thumbs up from Councillor Dashper, thank you. I'm happy to note as well. Item number 5, members, Licensing Scotland Act 2005, applications for minor variations granted under delegated authority. Report by the clerk to the board. This item is for noting and gives details of the minor variation applications granted under delegated authority since the last board meeting. I have to note this. Thank you, Councillor Dashper. Councillor Ingalls.
Yeah, noted.
Oh, thank you. On to item number 6, Licensing Scotland Act 2005, applications for transfer of premises licence granted under delegated authority. Report by the clerk to the board. This item is for noting and gives details of the transfer of the premises licence applications granted under delegated authority since the last board meeting. Are members happy to note this?
Noted.
Thank you, Councillor Ashford. Thank you, Councillor Ingalls. So, members, moving on to our restructured agenda. Item number 10, Licensing Scotland Act 2005, application for variation of premises licence, Cretan Stores, 79 St George Street, Cretan. Report by the clerk to the board. Clerk, can you go through the process for this report and confirm the procedure for this item, please?
Thank you, Convener. This is an application for a major variation. The premises are Creetown Stores in St John Street in Creetown. The premises licence holder is Robert James Iacomini. Can I just ask, is Mr. Iachimini here with us? See, you're on mute. Just if you'd like to unmute yourself, Mr. Iachimini, just to, can you just state that you can hear me loudly and clearly?
Yeah.
Thank you. So members, this is an application for a major variation that was received on the 1st of May 2024. A copy of the application was sent to those detailed in paragraph 2.2 of the report. The notice of the application was published on the board's webpage from the 3rd of May to the 25th of May 2024. The site notice display dates were the same dates, and I can confirm that the signed confirmation of site notice has been received. Details of the application are found at Appendix 1 to this report. The last date for objections and representations was the 24th of May 2024. No objections or representations have been received. In terms of responses, you'll note that at paragraph 4 of the report, it states we have the LSO report advising no adverse comment, and the LSO report may be found at Appendix 2. There's no adverse comment from Building Standards, no adverse comment from police, no planning issues raised from planning's perspective, no adverse comment from the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service. So in terms of suggested procedure, convener, you may wish to hear from the LSO to speak to their report. Thereafter, any questions from yourselves. Thereafter, allow Mr. Iachimini to speak to the application, and thereafter any questions from yourselves. And thereafter, allow the applicant, Mr. Iachimini, the licence holder, the opportunity to sum up prior to going into session. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Caroline. Can I invite the LSO Julia Farrell in, please?
Yes, thanks, convener. So this application relates to an increase in the display area and refurbishment at the shop. So the display area is now located along one wall, which can be easily supervised from the counter area, and also other changes at the same time, just routine activities relating to the shop, which is including the lotto, deliveries through Snappy Shopper, and then just other normal convenience store activities just to ensure future compliance with the operating plan. I've got no adverse comments. The display area is in a good location. I've included details about the deliveries in terms of licence in Scotland at 2005, just purely for information of board members. Other than that, no adverse comments regarding the application.
Thanks for that, Julia. Members, if you have any questions for the LSO?
Not from me.
Councillor Darby?
Yeah, thank you. Just for clarity, can I just ask what exactly is the major change? Is it the lotto? Is it the change in layout, or is it everything all together? Thanks.
Yeah.
So it's mainly the increase in the capacity. That was the main change, and at the same time, there's just been a few activities added.
Thank you.
Councillor, were you trying to get in?
Sorry, can you repeat that, convener?
Did I see you put your microphone on before I called in Councillor Ashford? Sorry.
That it was just to say no questions.
Not a problem. Not a problem. But thanks for that. So, member, we'll move on and we'll hear from the applicant, Mr. Robert Iachimini, who's attending today. Mr. Iachimini.
Morning. Afternoon. How are we doing? Yeah, we've just moved things around a little bit, really. We got rid of our cigarette gantry, put the cigarettes into drawers. We're now using that space for some spirits and vapes. And we've added a shelf to the right-hand side of the multi-deck fridge for large boxed multi-buys of beer, because that's been kind of a trend since COVID. People prefer to multi-buy than buy individuals, so we've kind of moved that way. That's really all we've kind of done, really.
Thanks for that, yeah, Mr. Iachimini. Members, do you have any questions for Mr. Iachimini? No questions, Mr. Iachimini, you've got off lightly.
Yeah.
So, members, I'll move on and I'll look for a sum up from our LSO, Julia Farrell.
Yeah, just to confirm, convener, I've got no adverse comments to the application.
Thanks for that, Julia. And Mr. Yakimini, can you sum up, please? Go ahead, Todd.
Just be reiterating what I just said. It's very minor little changes to the shop layout, really. Just trying to update things and keep it all nice and neat and tidy.
Thanks for that. Members, we're in session. What's our thoughts? Councillor Ingles?
Yeah, I really don't have any objection to this at all, Convener. I'm happy to pass this.
That's for that, Councillor Ingles. Is that the consensus between the board?
Yeah, I'm happy with that as well, thank you.
And I have a thumbs up from Councillor Dashper as well. Members. Colin, can you go through the procedure, please?
Thank you, Convener. So just checking that that's a unanimous decision to grant the application in its entirety, Convener.
That is yes.
Thank you, Convener. So, Mr. Yakimini, you've just heard from the board, and the determination today is it's a unanimous decision to grant your application in its entirety. So your application has been granted by the board today, and you will be notified of that decision in early course in writing with the revised premises licence with you in early course. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'd better go because I've got a child to pick up. So thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you. So members, moving on to item number 7, Licences Scotland Act 2005, section 83, 7A, personal licence holder Michelle Lawford. Report by the clerk to the board. Note procedure. Oh, sorry. Can we? I'll invite our clerk to give us some overview on this one, because this is a case that's came back to us.
Welcome to the EE voicemail. I'm sorry, but the person
Unknown
you called
participant
is not available.
is now joining.
Please leave your message after the tone. After you've finished your message, just hang up, or to hear more options, please press 1.
Is that Miss Alford joining us at the minute?
It should.
Sorry, but
it
I
should
couldn't
be.
hear anything. Please re-record your message after the tone.
I'll try to dial her again. It seems to be going to voicemail. She is expecting the call.
Thank you, Aidan.
To listen to your message, press 1. To re-record your message, press 2. To continue recording your message, press 3. If you are happy with your message, press 4. To specify a number for your message recipient to call you back
Unknown
on
participant
that is different
is
to the
now
number
joining.
you're calling from, press 5.
Unknown participant is now
To listen
exiting.
to your message, press 1. To re-record your message, press 2. To continue recording your message, press 3. If you are happy with your message, press 4. To specify a number for your message recipient to call you back on.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
Aidan, have you spoke to Miss Alford today regarding this?
No, I spoke to her yesterday.
Yesterday.
So
And she
so yes,
confirmed that
she
should be.
yes, I'll try one more time, and if not, I have given her information to dial in herself, so I'll go off Teams and phone her from my own mobile.
Welcome to the EE voicemail.
Unknown
I'm sorry,
participant
but the
is
person
now
you called
joining.
is not available.
Unknown
Okay,
participant
I'll-
is now exiting.
I'll just try and phone her from my mobile.
Thanks for that, Aidan.
I spoke herself in. She's not sure why it didn't connect. So
So did you say that Miss Offord's going to dial herself in? Sorry there, Edie.
yes, she's going to. I had sent her instructions, so she's going to do that just now.
If you just bear with us for a wee minute, folks. Thank you.
Michelle offered.
Is now joining.
Hello, Michelle. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Thank you. Well, we're just going to start the item, and I've invited our clerk in to give us a wee overview of what we're discussing today for the members of the public and those who are watching online. Caroline, could you go through today's proceedings, please, for this item?
Okay.
Thank you, convener. Just checking, Michelle Offord, that you can hear me loudly and clearly.
Yes.
Thank you. So, members, we have here with us in relation to this matter the personal licence holder, Michelle Offord. The reason it's before yourselves today is considering a personal licence review following deferral from an earlier hearing that you heard held on the 13th of March 2024. Going back to the 26th of October 2023, the Chief Constable, in terms of his power under Section 83(4)(b) of the 2005 Act, submitted to the board a notice advising that Michelle Offord has been convicted of a relevant offence. That letter is detailed at Appendix 1. You held a hearing on the 13th of March 2024, and at that hearing, members, you decided to defer consideration of the matter to a future hearing date to enable Police Scotland to obtain further information in respect of the conviction from their colleagues in England. Police Scotland have provided an updated letter which is detailed at Appendix 2 to this report. So, in terms of your options available to yourselves today after hearing Police Scotland speak to the terms of their letter, and also Michelle Offord, who's also submitted written representations. And I just want to check, members, that you have received those written representations sent to you via email. She has a written statement that was sent to you by email. Although, of course, Ms Offord can speak to that written statement and present her case today. In terms after you've heard from both parties, the options available to you detailed at paragraph 2.6 of the report is that you may, having regard to the conviction and after giving Michelle Offord concerned and the Chief Constable an opportunity to be heard, if it's necessary to do so for the purpose of any of the licensing objectives, make an order revoking the licence, suspending it for a maximum 6-month period, endorsing it, which is a bit like a warning, or indeed taking no action. If a determination is made in law that, having regard to the licensing objectives, the licence holder is not a fitted proper person to be the holder of a licence, then you would have no discretion but to make an order revoking the licence. So if you go to the recommendations, the options are detailed there. So, convener, in terms of suggested procedure, you may wish to hear from Police Scotland speaking to their updated letter detailed at Appendix 2. Thereafter, any questions from yourselves. Thereafter, hear from Michelle Offord and consider also her written statement that's been circulated to yourselves. And thereafter, any questions from board members, and then allow Police Scotland the opportunity to sum up, and then allow Michelle Offord the opportunity to sum up prior to going into session. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Caroline. Can I invite Police Scotland to speak, please? I don't know our representatives for this today.
Good afternoon, it's Sergeant Parker from the Licensing Department. In respect of this...
Sergeant Parker, did you say it?
Yes.
Thank you.
So in respect of this representation, it literally is in respect of the letter that has been submitted. Michelle Offord was arrested in Northumbria Constabulary area following a report of a female being slumped behind the wheel of a vehicle. Upon attendance, she was found impaired through the effects of alcohol. She had keys within the ignition, and on being tested, a reading of 104 UG to 100 ml of breath was detected. As a result of that, she was arrested. She has appeared at court in respect of this and received a fine of £533 and has been disqualified from driving for 15 months. That's the information that we've been passed from Northumbria.
Thanks for that, Sergeant Parker. Members, do we have any questions for Sergeant Parker?
Convener, we'll have a wee look to see if we can find the emailed correspondence, the letter. Have you got it? All right, we've got it. It's okay. Found it. Thank you.
Would members like a short recess for 5 minutes to digest that letter?
Yes, that'd be helpful, thanks.
Well, I see that it's only just came to us through an email. Members, Carl, are we okay to take a 5-minute recess of sorts or an adjournment?
That's entirely a decision for yourselves, convener. If you could just if you are minded to do so, if you could just kindly make it clear as to why you're suggesting that break. Is it to read the police letter that's detailed at Appendix 2?
No, the short recess is suggested. So it's to read the information that was given by Michelle Offord and her written statement.
Her written statement.
Circulated.
It could be. You may wish to consider, convener. Michelle Offord obviously will be given a chance to put forward her case, and at that point, you may wish to consider reading her written representations. It's entirely a matter for yourselves whether you wish to do so at this stage or whether you'd prefer to wait until Michelle Offord makes her case to the board.
I think members may have questions from Michelle Offord based off her written statements and of her representation to us verbally. So I would be comfortable with us taking a short time to consume that. Thank you.
And thereafter, convener, go back to hearing from the police and asking Sergeant Parker any questions if there are any.
Did members have questions for Sergeant Parker? Sorry.
We don't have any questions, convener. Obviously, we'd like to discuss this in private session if that's possible.
Councillor Dashper, is there any thoughts on your side?
No, I'm content for now, thanks.
Caroline, I've had a request for a private session to read this, but can we take a short recess for 10 minutes?
As you wish, convener.
Members, I see we're all back in. David, Chrissy, are you all ready to go?
Yeah, good to go.
Excellent. Thanks for informing us that, Small Enfield folks. We've just had Mr. Offord's written statement circulated amongst the members. I think it was right for us to have the time to read and digest that. Now we can go back to the proceedings that we were going through. I think we just heard from the police, and I was going to questions for the police. Is there any questions for Police Scotland members? I'm not seeing any. So without that, members, can we move on to Ms. Offord? Would you like to talk to your case, please? Is Miss Alford still with us?
Yes, I'm still here. Sorry, it's really bad line.
No. But Miss Alford, would you like to talk to your written statement, please, and give us your terms of events here?
Yeah, I can go through that. So it's just everything really as I wrote down that I was away, I volunteer for a cat rescue business. I was away collecting food donations. So I was away a couple of days. I was still in the car. The car was on my friend's drive. I couldn't open the doors fully. So I very stupidly drove the car off the drive so that I could open the doors, and that was when the police were called. I was still in the car. I would just add that the keys weren't actually in the ignition. The car doesn't have an ignition. It's a push-button start. The keys were actually on the floor. And that's really all I've got to add. It was a stupid mistake that I regret, and I realise the implications, but really that was for the judge to decide, and he decided on the punishment and took into account the distance that I'd driven.
Members, do we have any questions from Miss Alford?
Hi, yeah. Can I just clarify? So you'd been to the cattery, you were sat in the car on your friend's drive. You couldn't open the doors. What was it?
Yeah.
But you could open the door to get in, and then you've driven.
I couldn't open the back doors. The back doors. Okay. So where she lives, she has metal railings. It's a very narrow drive, so I couldn't open the back doors. I had filled the boots, and in order to fill the back seat with bags of cat litter and trays of cat food, I moved the car off the drive.
So where was the cat litter and cat food at your friend's house? Was she the one closing?
Yes, she runs the cat rescue.
Ah, right, okay. So at what point did you drink alcohol previous to that? If you just
so it was in the afternoon, 2 the afternoon.
Right, okay.
And this was about 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening. It was just to prepare packing the car for when I returned home the next evening.
Ah, right, okay. And then you fell asleep in the car, is that correct?
I didn't fall asleep. I was sat in the car and I was emptying coffee cups and things like that. The report from the neighbour, whoever it was, said that I fell asleep in the car, but I wasn't actually asleep.
Right, okay, thank you. That clarifies it a wee bit better, thanks.
Councillor Dashbar, I saw a hand go up from yourself. Would you like to come in?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I suppose I would just ask, what was the occasion for you drinking alcohol, and how much did you consume? Thanks.
We were drinking wine during the afternoon. There was some friends around. We're winding up the cat rescue, so it was kind of a farewell, if you like.
And did you drink a lot? Because I noticed in the report it says that your breath was at 100 millilitres of alcohol,
there was a lot of drinking.
Which is double the limit in Scotland. It's 50 in Scotland, so it must have been a significant amount.
It was a fair amount, as I say. It was going on from sort of lunchtime throughout the whole of the day.
Okay, thank you.
That's not But so one of the things that, for myself, this is my own question, that when I'm reading your statement, is that I'm going to read the police report, and this is that a neighbour had seen you drunk in the driver's seat, slunched over, and you say that you were picking up coffee cups and stuff like that, which could be fair enough, you would be slunched over, bent over to do that. But at the time that it took the police to get to the car and respond to the report, that seems like an awful long time to be picking up coffee cups.
Well, I was just clearing out the rubbish of the car for my return journey home. So it was things off the floor. It was to make space to get as much cat food into the car. So there was things like carrier bags with bits and pieces in from shopping that I'd done. So I was piling them all into one bag to make as much space as possible, emptying the rubbish out of the car so that I could fill the car with as much as possible.
So could you just give a kind of a rough estimate of how much time you were in the car for cleaning?
I've no idea. I couldn't say.
You have no idea.
I couldn't say because I was carrying cat food and litter from the back of the property through the side gates, down the drive onto the path. So I'd made several journeys back and forward carrying food and litter. And then, as I say, I was in the car collecting all the stuff and trying to rearrange everything in the car to pack it. So I really couldn't say how much time had passed.
Right, thank you. And just another question for myself, it's the difference between your written statement and the police report. The police report says the keys were in the ignition. It's quite clear with that, but you said that it's a push button car.
Yeah, it's a push button car. There is no ignition.
Right, okay. I don't know, am I allowed, Carly, at this point to ask Sergeant Parker regarding that difference?
I think that would be fine. Convener, you have sort of you have a sort of conflicting statements here.
Thank you. Sergeant Parker?
Hi. Unfortunately, can you hear me? Sorry. Unfortunately, because this has not come from our force area, it is very limited information that we have been provided with. They obviously operate with very different systems, and the exact information that we have been given with is that keys were in the ignition is what it specifically says in the information that we've been passed, and that's why we included that in our letter.
That's for that, Sergeant Parker. So would a car that is on, that is keyless and doesn't require the keys to be in the ignition, and the ignition being on, would that just be considered or assume that the keys are in the ignition? Am I clutching at straw there?
It's very open to interpretation by an individual. I couldn't really comment on that.
Thanks for that, Sergeant Parker. But that's my question finished, I think. Unless you would like to add any more to that, Miss Alford.
Sorry?
Unless you would like to add any more to your answer you gave me, Miss Alford.
No, nothing more I can add.
Thank you. I'll try to make it clear there. So members, if we have no more questions for Miss Alford, can we move on to the summing up, of which I'll invite Sergeant Parker to sum up.
Thank you. In the summary, Michelle Alford has been convicted of this offence some time ago. No matter how short the distance is that she has driven, she was a responsible person, given that she is a personal licence holder, and in Police Scotland's opinion, she is no longer a fit and proper person given this conviction and her decision making at the time. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Sergeant. Miss Alford, would you like to...
Sorry, Convener, can I beg your pardon if I could just interject? If you note in the terms of the police letter, as far as I see, they've not stated that in their opinion that Michelle Alford is not a fit and proper person. They've actually just stated that you consider all options open to the board, and I just wondered if Sergeant Parker concurs with that. I'm just looking at the updated letter at Appendix 2.
Thanks for that, Carly. Sergeant Parker.
Yes, my apologies.
Thank you, Caroline. Miss Alford, would you like to sum up, please?
Yeah, it was a stupid mistake. I'd gone with the best intentions of wrapping up the cat rescue, packed the car so that I could make my way back the following evening. I appreciate that it was not the best decision and that it was a stupid mistake. Having my personal licence, the position that I'm in now, I own a restaurant that we're looking to move forward and have it a licensed restaurant. We employ currently 9 people there in a very small town where there isn't much opportunity for particularly young people. If this is something that is going to affect me, then this will also affect the business and the people that we employ. And whilst I accept that it was my decision, it was my mistake, I just think that that's something that needs to be taken into consideration.
Thank you for that, Miss Alford. Members, we're now in session. Do we have any thoughts, members? Sorry, Councillor Inglis, is that an intimation to speak? The camera is stuck between Councillor Inglis and Councillor Hill.
Yeah.
But did you intimate that you'd like to speak, Councillor Inglis?
Sorry, yeah. Can we take this in private session?
Got a request for private session from Councillor Inglis. Members, are we unanimous in that? Councillor Hill and Councillor Dartford?
Yep.
Yep. Councillor Dartford? Thumbs up. Thanks for that, Councillor Hill. Members will go into private session. I suggest we'll go into private session for 10 minutes. That'll be long enough for a start for question.
Yep.
Yep, no problem. So, Claire, can you advise the board that we will be going into private session?
Thank you, convener. So the board has decided that it would like to go into private session. And just for clarity, convener, is that going into the pre-meeting?
That is going back into the pre-meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're all back in the meeting. Can you hear us, Councillor Inglis, Councillor Hill?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you, Caroline.
Yes, thank you, convener.
Excellent. Members, Councillor Dartford has given his apologies and has left the meeting. Just to give information, we're still for it, I believe, Caroline. Yes.
Correct, convener. Thank you.
Right, members, the board's in session. Do we have any thoughts of what action we would like to take, members?
Yep.
Councillor Hill?
I think on this occasion that Michelle has received an offence already for the drink driving and a fine, and I think she needs to realise that she is a licence holder and this sort of behaviour isn't acceptable by anyone. But I think a letter with a written warning would be suffice. So I propose we have a letter with a written warning to her so that she realises, the seriousness of the offence. But I don't feel that endorsing a licence or revoking it is necessary. Thanks.
Thanks for that, Councillor Hill. I'd be inclined to agree. I don't think we can, at this stage, as we've not got, I don't think we can put parameters on of affecting the licensing objectives, the 6 licensing objectives. However, I think we can all agree that it's not appropriate behaviour of a licence holder. And I'd be happy to support a warning letter from this board. Councillor Inglis, do you agree?
Yeah, I have to say I would expect better judgment from someone that's a licence holder, but no, I'm happy with a letter. Yeah, thanks, convener.
Thanks for that, members. Caroline, could you wrap up the decision, please?
So just checking, convener, you've all unanimously agreed just to issue a written warning and not make any of the statutory orders. And the reason you're issuing a written warning is because you're of the view that that it's not appropriate behaviour and that the licence holder should have exercised better judgment in relation to the drink driving conviction. It's not appropriate, acceptable behaviour, but you're issuing a written warning just so that she understands how seriously you're taking it. Is that correct, convener?
Caroline, but that is correct, thank you.
Okay, so Ms Sofford, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So the board has deliberated and made a determination, and the decision of the board today is to issue you a written warning in respect of this matter. And just to be clear, issuing a written warning is not making any of the statutory legal orders that were available to the board today. The board is issuing you with a written warning stating that they believe that your behaviour was unacceptable and it was not appropriate, and that you ought to have exercised better judgment because this is a very serious offence. So you will be issued with a written warning letter in early course.
I understand that, thank you.
And for the avoidance of doubt, your licence remains in effect, so nothing changes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roberts. You're free to go. Members,
Thank
I'll
you.
wait for Ms. Roberts. Thank you. I'll wait for Ms. Roberts to leave, as the telephone calls sometimes have a departing message.
Okay, thank you for your consideration. I appreciate that, and I do appreciate the seriousness and that it was unacceptable behaviour. Thank you.
That's all.
Michelle Offord
is now exiting.
Thanks, members. So members, moving on to item 8, Licensing Scotland Act 2005, section 48.84A. Personal licence holder Callum Scott report to the board by the clerk. Members, can I invite the clerk in to go over what procedure is for this item today?
Thank you, convener. So this is a report that's been received from police in terms of section 84A of the Licensing Scotland Act 2005, alleging conduct that's inconsistent with the licensing objectives, the personal licence holder being Callum Scott. I just wanted to check, convener, do we have Callum Scott here today with us?
Mr. Scott's in the room with me, as is his father, Jimmy Scott.
Thank you very much. And can you hear me clearly, Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So members, the background here is on the 6th of May 2024, the Chief Constable, in terms of his power under section 84A, submitted to the board a report alleging that Callum Scott, the holder of a personal licence, has acted in a manner inconsistent with the licence objectives, preventing crime and disorder, securing public safety and preventing public nuisance. The letter received from the police members is detailed at Appendix 1 to the report. Now, Mr. Scott has also submitted his personal licence review statement, which is detailed at Appendix 2 to the report. In terms of your legal powers here, you may, after hearing from Mr. Scott and also Police Scotland, if you're satisfied that it's necessary to do so for the purposes of any of the licensing objectives, make an order to revoke the licence, suspend it for a maximum 6-month period, or endorse it. It's also open to yourselves to take no action. And if at the hearing you, having regard to the licensing objective, you're of the opinion that the licence holder is not fit and proper to be the holder of the licence, then the law tells you that you have to revoke that licence. So convener, in terms of suggested procedure, you may wish to hear from the police to speak to their report, and thereafter any questions from yourselves. Then allow Mr. Callum to speak to his position in relation to what he's got to say, and also the terms of his written statement, and thereafter any questions from yourselves, and then allow the police to sum up their position, allow Mr. Scott to sum up his position prior to going into session. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Colin. So member, we'll move on to Police Scotland. Sergeant Parker, would you like to speak to the terms of your letter and report, please?
Thank you. So around midnight on Saturday the 4th of May 2024, CCTV operatives working on behalf of Police Scotland observed an assault take place outside the licensed premises, the bar Pazzarello in Stranraer, and as such police officers were instructed to attend and establish the circumstances. On police arrival, Callum Scott was spoken with by the officers and appeared to be in an agitated state. He refused to engage with them and repeatedly tried to leave the area. Officers believed him to be under the influence of alcohol due to his general demeanour and the smell of alcohol coming from his breath. Officers asked him who was in charge of the premises that evening, and he identified himself. He was also noted to be wearing a staff uniform. He became verbally abusive and refused to calm down when requested, and as such was placed under arrest for threatening and abusive behaviour where he began to resist arrest, grabbing at officers' personal protective equipment and continuing to shout and swear at officers. Mr. Scott was thereafter conveyed to Stranraer Police Station, where he was also charged. He was charged with Section 38 of the Criminal Justice and Licensing Scotland Act, threatening and abusive behaviour, but also licence holder drunk on relevant premises and resisting arrest. Due to this behaviour falling far short of what is expected from a personal licence holder, Police Scotland thereafter submitted the Appendix 2 letter to the board for consideration.
Thanks for that, Sergeant Parker. A question I have, Sergeant, do we have a conviction yet?
No, this is a report by summons and has not been heard at court to date.
Do we have any idea when it is going to be heard at court?
Apologies, I don't have that information, no.
Thanks for that, Sergeant Parker. Members, do we have any more questions? No more questions for the police officer. So, Mayor, we'll move on to hear from the applicant. Mr. Scott, would you like to speak to the terms of your letter and to that night?
No, I've got nothing to add to my statement, but I'm willing to answer any questions.
Members, are we looking to ask any questions? Councillor Inglis.
Yeah, I'm just wondering in Callum's statement, it points out that he was off duty at 10 o'clock and that my dad would be in later and he was in charge. Was there a gap between the 10 o'clock finish and when the father was coming in to run the bar?
Caroline, we've got Mr. James Scott in today, which is the father of Callum Scott. But I know that normally would allow a solicitor to speak on behalf of their client. But I've been told that he's on holiday. I will allowing Mr. James Scott to speak on behalf of Mr. Callum Scott.
Thanks, convener. So if it's the case that Mr. Callum Scott is happy to have his father represent him and speak on his behalf, if Mr. Callum Scott has consented to that, then there's nothing to prohibit that if you're happy with that, convener. You may wish to just receive that assurance from Callum Scott that he consents to his father representing him.
Mr. Scott Younger, do you?
Yes.
Thank you very much. So I'll hand that question over to you, Mr. Scott.
Yes, Callum finished work at 10 o'clock as he was going away on a holiday the next day. Under the terms of my licence, I don't need a personal licence holder on the premises till after 1 o'clock. My other staff had 5 other staff on duty up until then, and because of obviously we were a disco, I don't tend to come down to maybe 12:30 at night, as obviously depends how busy it is, but I'm never really there before 12 when I'm in charge, which I was that night.
Any more questions, councillors?
No, thanks for that, Mr. Scott.
So just for clarity there, Mr. Scott, there was no licence holder in charge of the bar at that point in time.
No.
Which is, as you said, in according to your licence.
According to my licence, I mean, as I said, Callum was working from 6 p.m. till 10. He was going away on holiday, so I was coming down later that night. I've actually prepared a statement regarding what else happened on that night, if he's wanting to hear it or whatever. But I also just had one question to ask, obviously. I was just to ask the licensing board to clarify with the police if Callum had actually been charged with anything, particularly the Section 38, the breach of the peace and the police obstruction. As the letter police speaks of arrest but doesn't state charged. So when I actually went down to the police station to ask what they said, there was no charges. That was on the night question at 3 o'clock in the morning when I went down to speak to them.
So at this, is that you finished that?
No, I'm just I think, but you want to hear my statement regarding them.
So Caroline, we did ask Mr. Scott, Mr. Callum Scott, to provide a statement, which I then went to questions. Am I able to take a statement from his father now that we've taken Now that we've said that Mr. Scott can represent him, Mr.
So
James Scott.
just to be clear, convener, is it the case that in addition to Mr. Callum Scott's statement at Appendix 2, his father now wishes to enter new information into today's proceedings by virtue of an additional statement?
I believe that's the
It was
case.
just to give you more information on
I think
obviously
in-
my side and my
Right.
dealings with the police that night.
I think in terms of fairness to the police, my own views at that statement, if he's purporting to enter a new statement at today's proceedings, in fairness to the police, that ought to have been submitted in advance. It would be entirely a matter for yourselves, convener, if you wish to circulate that statement and pause, because obviously the police have not had sight of that information. Now, if it's the case that Mr. Scott's father is presenting him in relation to today's proceedings, that's a different issue. But if he's actually submitting new additional information the police have not had sight of, then that's not fair on the police.
I think, Caroline, it's a spoken statement of what should have came in when Mr. Callum Scott, when I invited him to speak. It should may have been brought in there. Am I right in saying that, Mr.
Yes, it was just basically my side of what basically continued from when I came down and spoken to the police.
If
Obviously
I can
after
just interject there, convener, if it's, I can see Councillor Ingall's got his hands up.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I don't want to hear any further statements at this present moment in time, convener.
No, thank you for that, Councillor Ingalls. Thank you for that. Councillor Hill?
Yeah, I'm a wee bit confused by this because in the police statement it says that Mr. Scott was taken to the police station where he was also charged with the Licensing Scotland Act section 114, licence holder drunk on relative presence and resisting arrest. But if he wasn't a licence holder, I'm a wee bit confused because Mr. Scott Senior is saying he was the licensing holder at that time. So I'm a wee bit confused here as to, I think there's a wee bit of confusion going on. Thanks.
So, Caroline, can I invite you in to talk, please?
Thank you, convener. So the police have advised in their letter that Mr. Scott has been charged in respect of two statutory offences. First one being section 38 of the Criminal Justice and Licence of Scotland Act 2010, threatening and abusive behaviour. The second one being alleged breach of section 114 of the Licence in Scotland Act 2005, in that he was drunk on he was charged with being drunk on the premises. In terms of that statutory offence of being drunk on the premises, it can capture a responsible person, which would be the premises manager, it could be the premises licence holder, but it could also be staff, so it could capture Mr. Scott. But just for the sake of clarity, convener, you may, I believe you do have clarity here, because my understanding is that these are there are two separate charges against Mr. Callum Scott, but they are charges, and that's where we're at in terms of the judicial process. You may wish to just get that from the police, that there are two charges, but they're outstanding, and there's no, they've not gone down the journey through the judicial process.
Thanks for this, Caroline. Sergeant Parker, can you confirm that?
Yes, there were the two charges for the section 38, the threatening and abusive behaviour, and the drunk on relevant premises, as well as resisting arrest. They were the three charges, and yes, they've not went through the judicial process, so they are still charges at this stage.
So sorry, the three charges, so we go for them again.
Sorry, it is section 38 of the Criminal Justice and Licensing Scotland Act, which is threatening and abusive behaviour. The second one is the Licensing Scotland Act 2005, section 114, licence holder drunk on relevant premises, and resisting arrest.
Thanks for that. I'm sorry, Mark, a wee bit quick the first time, I didn't pick up the first one. So members, are there any more questions for the licence holder?
No, I don't think so at this moment, convener.
Okay. Not this one. Member, with that, we'll move on to summing up. Sergeant Parker, would you like to sum up?
Yes, there's not much more to add that's not already in the letter, but to sum up, the behaviour shown by Mr Scott showed a clear lack of disrespect, not only to the police but also the licences which allow him to run the bar Pasarello premises. Again, this incident has not been heard at court, and as such, no result could be provided in respect of a criminal conviction at this time. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Sergeant Parker. Mr. Callan Scott, Mr. Jimmy Scott?
No, I'm okay, thank you.
Nothing to add.
That's it.
Thanks for that. So, members, would we like to go into session, or do we believe we would like more information in the sense of deferring this item until we have a court conviction?
Can we go into private session, please, convener?
Private session, members, not a problem. Are you amenable to that, Councillor Hill?
Yep.
Right, thank you very much. Member, we'll go into private session. Councillor Green?
Yeah.
Excellent,
Yes.
thank you very much. So, members, we're now in session. The board has just finished the private session. We're now in session. Do we have any suggestions, members?
Yes, convener.
Councillor Inglis?
I'd like to defer this until we get the outcome of the legal proceedings, if that's possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hill. Councillor Hill, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm happy to go with the deferral. I kind of feel that we don't have, it's innocent until proven guilty for me, and I don't feel that I have the information in front of me today to make a decision, because, you know, I don't know whether the charges are going to stand. So yeah, I'm happy to defer with more evidence to come forward, please.
You're on a very similar wavelength to me, members. I would have done it a slightly different way, in the sense of I would have taken no action today, as we don't have anything in front of us, no real material evidence in front of us. And I would invite the police that if there was a conviction in future to bring it back to us for review. But I'll not push that, and I'm happy to agree to the adjournment. So I think, Carlin, we have a quorum when it comes to sort of our local adjournment.
Convener, just for clarity, is it the case that your preference for no action today, do you want that recorded, or are you happy to have it recorded that you wish it to be deferred alongside Councillor Inglis and Councillor Hill?
No, thank you. I think that the no action way, I think they're very much two the same. They're two sides of the same coin, this decision, in my opinion. So I'm happy to go and support the adjournment.
So the decision of today's board convener is to adjourn, defer consideration of this matter to a future hearing date.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Hill, sorry.
Yeah, so there'll be no action today, and it'll come back.
If I can just interject there, so there are two different decisions there, Councillor Hill. If you make a decision to defer consideration, that's different from taking no action. Okay, if you make a decision to take no action, that is a decision taken today, and it would always be open to the police if they wish to bring this again to your attention. If, for example, just for example, the charges became convictions, So taking no action, it falls off the radar unless the police bring it to your attention today. Deferring consideration would mean it stays on your radar. You've not made any decision today other than to defer it to future hearing dates, whereby it will be calling again before yourselves, one would assume, when and if the police have further information. So they're two different things.
Councillor Inglis, I've seen your hand go up and sit.
I'm waving a bit like Flipper here. Yeah, just to be clear, my preference is to defer this until such times as the case has been to court or whatever the outcome of that process is, and then we revisit it. Thanks, Convener.
That's right, Councillor Inglis. I think we've got a clear mandate there, Caroline, that will defer this.
That's clear, Convener. And so the decision of today's board is to defer consideration. Convener, yes? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for that. So, Mr. Scott, you've just heard the board deliberate, and also Sergeant Parker. And the decision of the board today is to actually defer consideration of this matter to a future hearing date to ascertain whether the charges do go to court, and if they do, what the decisions are. So it's a deferral, which means for that interim period you can operate as normal under your personal licence. And Sergeant Parker, you've just heard that this will stay on the board radar. They're going to defer consideration due to the pending charges, as their views that they don't have sufficient information and evidence on which to make a decision today. So the decision is to defer to a future hearing date, and would ask that the police convener just bring it. I don't know whether you're minded to defer to a scheduled hearing date in the future, or whether it's the police allowing not deferring to a future hearing date that's not scheduled, and just waiting on the police to come back to you with further information.
I would suggest that's what we do, Caroline, so that we don't put this on our papers for future committees where we've got no new information.
That's noted, Convener. So it's deferral to a non-scheduled future hearing date yet to be determined, and asking the police to bring forward updates in relation to the 3 pending charges. So the decision is to defer. Thank you.
That's right, Caroline. So members, moving on to, sorry, actually, I'll give Mr. Scott, Senior and Younger, would you like to leave the room?
Right. Lovely, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right, members, Sport Item 9, Licence Scotland Act 2005, Premises Licence Review, Section 36, Premises Colkin, Knocken Hall, Glen Luce, Newton Stewart. Premises Licence Holder Catherine Humphreys, report by the Clerk to the Board. As previously stated, this item does not require to be considered. Caroline, is there anything to add to this?
No, Convener, because the LSO has withdrawn the review request. I understand that non-payment of the annual fee has now been rectified, so it's been withdrawn.
Okay, thank you very much, Caroline. So members, thank you for your patience. Caroline, thank you for your sage advice. Sergeant Parker, thank you for presenting to us today. And Abby, thank you for recording. And thank you, Aideen, as well, for your input to today's meeting. I think that's us at our end, but I'm at the end of my notes. And I think we can